All right, so now we're going to be testing, as I mentioned, to see if the screen is now clickable. So we'll click on this option, click OK, and then we log in, of course. So I'll do, let's go, oh, not here, forgot. Even if I tried though, even if I made a mistake and I was like, okay, I'm going to log in here, you already know that when I do that, it says no, you'll be redirected to the login page shortly. So I'll just have to wait, and then once I'm on the login page, then I can log in. And then we can get the coordinates, because that's really the important part here, is to getting those coordinates for the screen so that we can be able to insert that in our code. All right, so here I'm going to log in. Excuse me. And as you can see, I'm logging in. Oop, I think I mistyped there. So let me type it again. So PALDI is what I actually wanted to type. And here I'm also going to be logging in as well with my password, PALDI. And then once I click login, of course, it will tell me that your login is successful. And I go to the welcome, which you'll know, the home page, and then click here. Now, once we come here, we need the coordinates for all these options. And we need to know if the screen is clickable. So I'm just going to click right now. We have this coordinate, okay? So focus on this one. So if I click the screen, I should have another coordinate after this. So let's see if it works. I click the screen and I do have another coordinate. So that's great. It's working. Now what we want to do is to click on each of these options and come and write down their coordinates. We need to make the boundaries such that when anybody clicks on any of these options, then we will redirect them to the right screen. So I'm going to click the top options right here, the top, the bottom, the usual boundary check. And I get my 4 coordinates, so you should concentrate on the last 4 coordinates you get. So those coordinates are what I'm going to write. My smallest is -631. My biggest is -330. So I'm going to go back. Let's put that here as comment. So we'll say if x is greater than or equal to, remember that we actually don't need this click function. So I'm just putting this for storage purposes and references, but we actually are not going to need the click function. We just need the coordinates. So if x is greater than or equal to, the lowest is -631. Okay, so I'm looking again at the numbers on the left, which are my x coordinates. Take the smallest and the largest. So -631 is my smallest, and x is less than or equal to -330, which is the largest, right? So that's what we have here. And so now I'm going to look at the right side and take my smallest, -221, and my largest is -12. So that's what I'll do. So go back to my code and then just continue, and y is greater than or equal to -221, or is it 222? I think it was -222, then -12. So it's greater than or equal to -222, and y is less than or equal to -12. So this apparently will be my hand-woven option. So let's keep that here, hand-woven option. So that's what's going to be, okay? So it's going to be the hand-woven. For now, I'm going to print and just put nothing in there, okay? Because we don't have anything, what we need to do is make it such that the computer or the compiler understands that whenever they go on this option, then a particular cursor is going to show. And that's going to be this hand cursor that's stuck on the screen. And then once they go on this option, another cursor is going to show. So let's quickly do the other one. So we'll click the top edges here, the bottom edges. And again, I'll take the last 4 coordinates. That's what you should always focus on. And so for the second option, my smallest is -307 and my largest is -19. So I'll come down here and say if x is greater than or equal to -307 and x is less than or equal to -19 and y is greater than or equal to, the largest y obviously is -222 and the smallest is -11, okay? -222 and -11, so -222, and y is less than or equal to -11. Okay, So that's done. Now let's go do the third and the fourth, and we're done. So back again, click the top options, the top boundaries, and the long bottom boundaries. Again, take the last 4 coordinates again, one more time. And what we get now is we're going to be getting this smallest, largest, and so the smallest is positive. Okay, so we get positive 18. So from here, this is positive now. And then we get positive 310. So what we're going to go do is put that in our code. So we're going to have if x is greater than or equal to positive 18 and x is less than or equal to, I'm just going to hit tab because I'll change these numbers anyway to make it easier. And then change this one as well so we can see which one we need to put. So positive 18 and the largest is 310. So we're going to put it over here, 310. And for the y coordinate, the smallest is, remember to keep to the last 4, okay? Keep to the last 4. So according to the last 4, the smallest y is negative 224, the largest is negative 19. So negative 224, and then of course, negative 19. Okay, so that's for that one. Then we need to get the coordinates for the last one. And so what's the last one? It's this one. So the Togo design, so click the top edge and the bottom edges, because remember you will want to put like specific cursors for each of these options. That's why we're getting it. You may also want to put a particular cursor for these options right here. So it really depends on you and your plan. So for now, I'm going to go back and let's look at what I get for these options. The last 4 again. So the last 4, I get 336 and I get 628. So come down here and say if x, I'm going to just change this one, 336. And then I've gotten the largest to be 628 right here. So 628 is what I'm going to write down here. And then my y coordinate, the smallest is negative 222 and the largest is negative 18. So negative 222 and then negative 18. All right, that's pretty much it. And of course, print nothing. So we've gotten all the coordinates we need, and now we're going to put them in the right place. Just give me a minute. I'm just going to pause for a minute, and then we're going to continue right now. Just a moment. Okay. So we're moving on right now. So the next thing that we're going to do, obviously, which is to continue the part of the coding. So we have gotten all our coordinates. Like I said, we don't really need this function, but we do need these coordinates. So we're going to take them to wherever we need them. So what you do need to have is after you have done this line right here, you need to put in the coordinates so that you can start binding those coordinates with your icon, your cursor is what I mean. Okay, so remember we have cursor that is the icon 1 I'm talking about and the icon 2. So I'm going to go back and I'll copy this option right here. We'll just copy the first one, the hand woven coordinates, and then come and paste them right underneath like this. Okay. And that will serve our first icon. So this would be our first icon, okay? So we'll use our pen because we're using the pen to put the icon. Remember, that's a turtle object. And it's going to be pen.shape. And so this one will be not icon 2 for me, but icon 1. So that means the first one, which is this hand, that's what's going to go on that option. Now you just have to do the remaining ones and you just copy paste all of them. So I'm going to copy these remaining ones, even though I don't have the 2 more icons. I only got like 2 icons just because I wanted to show you. But you understand, this is really what you need to do. You need to get all your icons ready. So pen.shape, this is going to be my second icon. And for now, let's put this one as a hashtag because I don't have a third icon picture, but you have to have yours in this case. Now, once this is all done, we're going to be binding our mouse or binding our cursor movement onto these icons. Like when they move the cursor, we bind them, right? That's the next thing we want to do. So we're going to do canvas equal screen dot get canvas, okay? So, and then we're going to put our bind motion. So this is the binding. This is like what you're saying is whenever the icon is moved or the cursor is moved, then these icons should be the ones appearing on the screen. That's really what you're saying here. Okay. All right, so let's move on. What's the next thing? So the next thing is, obviously, this is coming. Now you can take out all the space. That's all you needed to do for the cursor. And you should have this line right after the canvas, the one that we already had before, the Togo clothing line. Okay, should be there. Now, everything else is the same. You don't change anything here, all same. So I'm talking of like all the code blocks. This thing, we already wrote all these code blocks when we were doing our last, our last class. So we don't need to do anything here. Now we just need to move on to start creating our graph, really. That's all we need to do. And the very last thing and where your mind should come to is actually bring your mind and your eye back to this line because you have it from what we've done in the last lesson. And of course, we are going to activate our function because now we're ready to start drawing our graph, okay? So like I told you, we're not going to need this, but I'll show you when we get rid of it. We still need those coordinates. For now, just go to this line where you have the draw bar graph option. In here, we're going to do data equals to load. This is where we actually draw the graph. Togo database. Togo database, of course, is the one that we're talking about, which is our JSON file. So remember that you need to show this function. Don't forget, you're showing this function for the Togo, okay? For Togo, and remember that this is the displaying home. I just hope you're understanding because when they log in, right, and they click on from the home screen, we did that, and they click on Togo, you notice that everything we're doing is inside of this option. Are you paying attention? So everything we're doing, this is the part where they are in the home screen, right? And that's basically right here, this home. We're talking about this. They're here. Now they click on this option, Togo. And so this entire code starts from here. This is where they click on Togo. And so you notice that all the code that's supposed to show the graph for Togo, everything is inside of this if statement. It's spaced in. It's spaced in means inside. Meaning you're going to go and do the same thing for when they click on another option right here. Okay, so this would be to add the code above. Oh, actually not here. Let's go all the way to the end when we're done with this stuff. Okay, there it is. Just make sure your lines align. This line is aligning with this if statement because that's the if statement for the first Togo option on the home screen. But we do have the other option for me is the Ndole cooking masterclass and then the Injangi group and then the Makosa rhythms. So all that, those coordinates that you're going to do because you need to open their own graph, you got to do it here. Okay, I hope that's the common sense. So you're going to add the Ndole, for example, masterclass for me, right? Code here, code below here, like the one above. And then you're going to do the same thing and come and do the other one, Injangi group. So you're going to add the Injangi group, Injangi economics section, or you can say code below here, and then you add the last one. And so my last option on my home screen was the Makosa rhythms. So the Makosa rhythms will go over here, of course, right? So that's kind of it. So that's just, I'm telling you, because don't forget that you have to do the same thing that you've done above here. So I'll just change Ndole to Makosa. Okay, hope you understand. So what you've done all above, everything here inside of the if statement for Togo, you have to do it for the other options that you have on the home screen so that they all also work properly. Now let's get back to our code for the graph. Go back to this line again. And the next line is going to be ax.clear. And so if you're wondering what, ax.clear with parentheses, by the way. So ax clears the bar graph every time to show you a new one. Ax just means is the axis of the graph. That's what ax means, axis, the axis of the bar graph. I already showed you in class that you can do other type of graphs. You can go with line graph. There are many type of graphs, so you can explore and be creative here. Now, the next thing we want to do is to put in the color of the bar graph. So what we'll do is like AX color of the bar graph. Yeah, so AX.bar, this is like where you construct the actual bar graph. And then you can put in colors of what you want because, you know, how you want the bar graph to be. So you're going to say options dot comma data dot values, and then you put color, and then you can like put whatever color you want. So the color really represents, what does the color represent? It represents the color of your bars on your bar graph. So if you want a different color, you notice that the colors are all the same here, but you can actually change those colors. And if you go to the Coolers website, that's why I like going to Coolers website, each bar graph, we're talking about each option, the hand woven option, the graph, the bar graph for that, that's the bar that comes and shows on the bar graph, the bar that shows for the garment tailoring, the bar that shows for the other option, which is the head wrap, and then finally the cloth design. Like each of those bars have their own color. If you want a different color, you can come to the Coolers website and you can choose any other color you want. Remember, hit the space bar on your keyboard and choose. I'm go with several colors. I'll go lime cream. Okay, so, and I'll also show you if you want to make it transparent. So let's say I go lime cream on my hand woven one. And then for the other one, maybe I go, let's see. You can really just play around here. So I'll go cornflower blue. Just copy this hexadecimal is really what you need, and then come and replace it right here. So I'm just gonna paste it over in front of, make sure you have the hashtag. And then for the third one, for the head wrap, I'll go, maybe I'll go for a sweet salmon, okay? And then again, you know, just play around with this. You can make it all the same color if you don't want it too colorful. I feel it's just nice when it's a different color. And then finally, for the cloth piecing, I'll probably go Majorelle blue. So copy that and then paste it over here. So that's the color for the bars, okay? Now, once that's done, if you want to do transparency, you make it transparent, you can use this word called alpha equals to something. And so the more you increase this number, the more transparent it is. That means the bars are going to be transparent on the background. Now, again, if you want to change the background of your graph, feel free to change it. And you know, it's something that I actually want to do, so I'm going to show you. I don't want it to be black as you've seen. I actually want it to be. I'm going to go to this website called Get Color, and from picture or from image. And the reason is because I want to get the exact color. I want to use the background color for the background for Togo, this background, because that's where the graph is. I want to use this color. So I want to try to blend the graph into this background real nice. And if you want to do something like that, then you can go to this website, download your image, and go to the website that says Color Picker. And then what you do is just come over here and upload your image. So you click Use Your Image, Browse, select your picture. And my picture is this one, and I'll just open it up. And then once it's open, take your cursor, and whenever you click, you notice, look what happens. They're giving you a particular, particular anywhere you click, the color changes over here. So you can get like the exact color. So I just need this color because this is where the graph is. And so what I'll do is I'll take the color that I have right here. This is the background color they gave me. And that's what I'll replace over here. So my graph blends in a bit better. Instead of black, I'll replace it here. That's the background for the bar graph itself, the one that you kept seeing, right? And then just make sure that it has the hashtag. So that's what I wanted to change. Okay, now let's continue on with the bar graph. The next thing is we want to set the title for our graph. So ax.setTitle, set underscore title. And of course, the title for the bar graph. What do you want to call this? I'll call it Togo clothing. Let's leave it. And then the font size means how big you want it to be. I think the font size, let's make it 15, bigger. So the more the number, the bigger the text. I'm talking about the font size of this. It's going to be bigger. The font weight, do you want it to be bold or italics or underline? So I put bold here. And what color do you want this to be in? Okay, so for the color for this text, the title, I'll probably go with another color from here that's a little bit bolder and darker. So I probably will go with, I'm looking for like a maroon, like a burgundy color. So this is good. Now I'll put burgundy over here. And don't forget to put a hashtag. And that's pretty much it. And now we're going to put the X label title. So what's going to go on the X axis? What's going to go on the Y axis? Okay. So for my X axis, like at the bottom, what do you write? Well, those are where we're going to have the options, right? For the Togo clothing. When we talk about the options, we're talking about these options, hand woven, Togo garment. So we're going to have options. I think the title that I have here in place is good as well. So options is pretty good. The size is good, the size, and I want it bold. So that's nice. And then maybe you could say Togo options if you want to be more specific. And then the color, I probably wouldn't go for the same color as the main title. I probably will do like a general color for the labels for X and Y. So what I'll do is look for another color that's sort of like nice. And I probably will go for, let's see. I'm looking for one that might be maybe a primary scarlet. That might work. So I'll just put it in any ways. You're going to see how everything looks like. And if you don't like it, you can always change and replace things. So that's what I'll put here. And then I'll do the same thing for my Y. And my Y label means on the Y axis, it's going to show us the numbers. And it's going to say, I'm going to not say number of clicks, but I'll say like popularity. And then or you can say user opinions, whatever you want to say really, because those y-axis where the bar graph is going to show is like telling you like which one's more popular, which one's least popular, which one people click the most, etc., etc. So that's pretty much, and I'll keep the size and everything the same as the X label. Now, once that's done, we can also have the tick parameters, which means the X-axis color. You know, if you want to like tick on the X-axis and then tick on the Y-axis. So you do ax.tick params, okay? And then here you put your axis equals your X-axis, and then axis equals to X, okay? And then here you don't have to put label size. You can just put colors, colors again, and just put the same colors really. This is just going to be the same. So what is your tick params? So the tick params, what it does is that they are the lines on the X-axis that show. And that's what we call them, params as in parameters. It's used to change the color of the X-axis label, okay? So that's what it does. It changes the color of your X-axis labels. Labels, of course, means the one that you have, but we're really trying to keep the same color. So just put the X and the Y, the tick params for X and Y, the same, okay? So the color of the labels. The next thing we want to do is to put in, now we need a for loop because we're going to go through all the values. So for, we're going to go through like all of the edges, the color of the border. If you want to put like a border around your bar graph, this is how you can do it. You say for spine in ax.spine.values, spines.values. And then of course, you put a colon, hit enter, and you put the spine edge color. So it's going to be spine dot set. Make sure you type this out yourself. Edge, because sometimes the AI doesn't give you the right, well, what we're looking for. The edge color, the color of the edges, and I'm just going to put it the same as what we already had here. Oh, maybe not. I might change it a little bit because I want it to be bold and show around the bar. So I think what I'll do is I'll put this color, something like a Yale blue. Okay, like a Yale blue is what I want. So I'll copy the Yale blue color and I'll put it right here. Okay, so this is going to be the color, Yale blue. Now, finally, once you're done with all of this, you come down here and you just put your figure.tight layout so that the layout is tight and in a place. So don't forget to spell this correctly. And then, of course, you come down here and you put chart.draw, which basically draws your bar graph, okay? So these are really, really important. Just make sure you have all this included. And so finally, you have to call your function, right? Because the function that we're using to draw the bar graph is this function. And make sure you write this line on the same line where you defined it, right here. Okay, this is very important. Okay, so that's it for drawing your bar graph. And now we just have to do the part where we do the clicks. So apparently we can still let's keep this clicks. I did say we're going to take it out, but I think we can just keep it in here. So insert the click function to bind with our icon cursors. We do need it because not only for the icon cursor and to increment, we also needed to increment the count of each toggle option when the user clicks on any of them. So on each toggle option, okay, when the user clicks on them. So when the user clicks on it. So that's what we're doing right here. So we need to make sure that once the user clicks on the hand woven, then it will increase by 1 and it will show in our file, in our JSON file, right? We have a JSON file and it should show there in our JSON file right here. See, we have a JSON file. I don't know if you paid attention, but we actually do have our JSON file. So it should update these values right here, okay? That's what we want. So for us to do that, we have to come and write that. For every line, this is the area where they click on the hand woven. This is the area where they click on the garment tailoring, and this is the area where they click the head wrap, and this one's the area where they click the cloth design. So what we want is for this to actually work for when they click on it, then it should increase by 1 and save in this hand woven option every time it increases by 1. That's what's going to happen. And of course, the cursor should also show on when they're on this option. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to have game started. Okay, remember the variable that we created at the top. So game started will be equal to true. And then the first thing we want to do is to unbind our cursor so that we can make it move. Okay, so unbind the cursor, make it move. That's the motion. We already did that here. If you remember, we have that right here, the bind motion. Now we're unbinding. Okay, that's what I'm doing here. Now, the next thing is we want to load our database. That's really important because we're opening the Togo database that we have here. And then, of course, we want to increase this by 1. So we're going to increase the hand woven option by 1. And if you don't know what the hand woven option is, then if you go to the top, remember we created it called hand woven. Write it exactly the same way. And then we did garment tailoring, we did head wrap, and we did cloth design. So just make sure that you're putting that rightly so. Okay, so that's what I have here. Increase it by 1. This is plus equal 1. So anytime anybody clicks on it, the count will increase here by 1. That's the data science. That's how you keep the statistics, do the analytics to understand user behavior and which one they are more inclined to viewing. And then finally, save your data. You definitely need to save your data in your database, right? In the database, which is the Togo clothing. You need to save it here so it's always there. Now, after that, what we want to do is once that has been done, the last thing we want to do is we want to be able to open a new screen. And that's going to be the screen that's going to be talking about the hand-woven Togo Togo design. So I'm talking about this one. It's going to be telling the user about what is the handwoven Togo masterclass about. That's what we're trying to do. So it's going to open a new screen. And so we need to close this chart. The chart that's showing, the bar graph that's showing, we're going to have to close it. And so to close it, we're going to use this keyword chart.get, and then we'll say underscore TK, okay, underscore widget, and then we'll say dot destroy. So this is how we destroy the bar graph. We don't show it anymore. And then we'll clear our screen.clear. And then of course we'll open a new screen. So we're going to do a function called open Togo, let's call this one Togo handwoven. Okay, open Togo handwoven screen, or just say open handwoven screen, which is easier. That's pretty much it. So you're going to get an error because you don't have that screen. So you need to go up and create it. Go to the very top of your code, anywhere at the beginning, and create that function. So dev handwoven screen. For now, we don't have anything inside of this function. So what we'll do is just say alert. Let's do a message dialog, message show, right? And we're probably going to just do like a pop-up message and say, welcome to the handwoven page. And then we probably need to do another one for the open garment tailoring screen, because we're definitely going to need that. And it will just say, welcome to the garment. But you have to this is the part where you actually write the information about these options on the screen. So for now, just do all your 4 options, and then I'll just do the other one, the head wrap, if they click on that, and then do the other one, which is the the cloth design for me. So I have all my functions that will open the respective screens based on whatever they click on. So that's what you should have. Now, going back down here, we have already done this. So what you do is just copy paste, really, because you just need to do the exact same thing on the other option. So you can copy this line, this whole block, and then you paste it for the second one. And the only thing you're going to change, of course, is this option right here, because you're not doing the hand woven. This time you're doing the garment tailoring, right? So the garment tailoring, just don't make sure you spell it correctly, exactly how you wrote it at the top here. Just make sure it's the same thing. And then you can paste it as well, the same thing you've pasted for the second option right here. And one thing I forgot to tell you is let's make all these options elifs, okay? The other options. The first one is an if, the other ones will be elif, because we want to make the computer know that the user is supposed to choose one at a time, okay? So just change it to elifs. This is if, then the other one means else if it's not the first one, else if the second, else if the third, else if the fourth. And so once you're done with this one right here, then you can remember you're not opening handwoven screen as well. You're supposed to open what was the second function that we created for the garment tailoring? It's called open garment tailoring screen, okay? So open garment, I think if you start typing it, you'll find it. There it is, and then put your brackets. Now paste this again for the third option. And of course, this now is going to be the head wrap, not the hand woven. And again, just verify that you have it here correctly done. And then of course, make sure you're opening the right one. So for the head wrap, what function are we supposed to open when they are actually on that page? It's the one called the open head wrap screen, okay? So it's open head, and once you start typing it, the option comes out and you just click on that. And finally, we're going to paste for the cloth design right here. And of course, this is not the hand woven. Now it's going to be cloth design. So just make sure you adjust that as well, cloth design. And of course, make sure you're opening the cloth design part. So the cloth design screen was called cloth design, I believe. Open cloth design. Yeah, it was just open cloth. And then as you started to type cloth, the option came out. There it is. All right. And then finally, the next thing you want to do, this is not over yet, because you still have to do one more thing, and that's going to be to call your graph, okay? You got to call the graph. So the graph calling is very important. Otherwise, when I say call the graph, I mean the draw graph, this option. You have to do it. So where you're going to call this graph, actually, I don't think we have to do it. No, we do not have to do it. The reason I said we don't have to do it is because we don't want it to update in real time. We just want, whenever they click an option, it will increase by 1 and store it here in this, not here, in this cloth, Togu clothing JSON file. It will increase by 1. And whenever they open the Togu cloth page, it will always show the graph. The bar graph is going to read what values are there, and it will always show the stats. That's what's going to happen. Okay, so in this case, we are not calling anything. So at this point, we can try and see how our code looks like so far, and that's what we need to do. So we're going to stop and run. And then the last thing we need to do is just how to make this information get read from our text file in an animated, nice way. So let's start running our code first. Let's test what we've done. Remember, we finished all the way until this last part right here. Okay, the last option. Now we're going to go and test it. So close everything and just stop your stop your code from running. You can close these colors for now. And then come over here and run your file. Okay, so we click this option, okay, and then click login, get redirected. That's what we want. And now we just have to wait. And then of course we go to login, and then we'll see if our cursor is moving okay, if everything is fine. When we click, are we getting that pop-up message? There's a couple of things that we need to check to make sure everything works so that we can do the last part. So I'll put my username and password over here, and then I'll click on login. And let's see, you're logged in successfully. Okay. Welcome page is right here. I'll say okay, click on this, and then come over here. Ooh, look at that. You see? That works perfectly. You see how the icons change? That's it. The icons are changing. And of course, we didn't do any icons for these ones, so that's why. So if you feel the icon size is too big or anything, I feel like it's okay, actually. I thought it was too big. And look at the graph. Look at how it looks like. Popularity is right here. Hand woven, everything is showing. The toggle options, all here. Basically, it's saying 0 because there's nothing to show. If you click on this one, it tells you welcome to the hand woven screen page, and if you say okay, basically nothing because we don't have anything here. But if you go back now, check and see if it works. Go back to your toggle cloth JSON file, and you can see we have a +1, so it's working perfectly. Now let's try this for all of them to see if they're all working. And so when we load the graph, we're going to run this code again. When we load the toggle clothing, the bar graph is supposed to show now. So let's close this again. Let's stop it. Let's clear and let's run. So everything looks good so far. All right, let's come back to our VNC again. Remember, we're supposed to see one bar now. So let's click on toggle clothing. Again, the same thing. Log in. Okay. You'll be redirected shortly. Okay, we wait. And then, of course, we check and see if we're able to see that login. So the last part, like I said, is really just now how to create a page where you can put in information about the Togu, for me, the hand woven option. Okay, so let's log in again. All right, so over here, now log in one more time. And okay, get redirected. Welcome screen is showing pretty well. Okay, click on this option, and then we're back to the graph. So you can see that the graph is working perfectly because it's now showing the hand woven one. So let's say I click on the Togu head wrap, right? I click here. Togu head wrap, I've just clicked on it. And I believe for this one, what we did do for it was when you click on the head wrap, it will just pop up saying welcome to the head wrap page, right? I believe that was this one, open head wrap screen. So let me go back. Okay, there is a little problem. Yeah, I made a mistake. We've got to correct this mistake. That's why it's kind of stuck on the screen like this. So what we have to do is we have to correct it. I wrote hand wrap instead of head wrap, and that's why I said be careful. So it's actually head wrap. And this is a mistake. So it's head wrap. Make sure you correct all the stuff correctly. So going back to this one, it's supposed to open up, when we click on it, it's supposed to open up this, but it didn't do that because we have an error. So if you see it not working, come and check your console and see what the error is. I wrote hand wrap instead of head wrap. So I just corrected it right now, so it should be fine. And if you go back to your Togu clothing JSON file, you see that it didn't even update because it wasn't right. So now let's go back and stop it and rerun it again. Okay, so we're running it one more time, and I'll just do that one more option, and I think we'll move on to the next part of this video. So the next part of this lesson. So now I'm going to click login and log in again successfully. Login, you'll be redirected shortly. And then of course I come over to this page. And now what we want to do is when we click on the head wrap, we want the graph obviously should go away, right? Should just disappear. And then we move on to the right screen for the head wrap. So here I'm going to log in again with my username and password. And then of course click on login. Okay. So I'll click OK. And then I'm on the welcome screen, and then now I'll click this option, and then I'm here. So again, the cursors are working pretty well. You see, everything is doing fine. So when I click this one, I come to the garment tailoring. That works pretty well. Okay. You can have a button on this screen. I'll talk about this in a few minutes. By the way, so let's get back to, where do we want to go back to? Let's stop it again, and let's run it one more time. So clear the past runs and run it again. And then come to your VNC, of course, click on this option. And of course, I want to do the head wrap now. So I've tested all the other ones. By the way, if you didn't see the option for the Togu clothing, you're going to see the garment is increasing by 1 as well. So it's working. So just double check all this stuff. Okay, make sure everything works perfectly. So now I'll do one more example, and then we'll move on to the last screen so we can wrap this up. And then you will need to finish up all your work with all these features that you've learned and all these interesting things that you can make to bring your whole MBOA FLIX alive. Now I'll click on login and then OK. Back to the welcome screen, OK. Click on the Togu option. You can see this looks so nice, right? Look at the colors. So I'll click on the head wrap now, and you see the head wrap works. And also, if you go back to the Togu clothing, you'll see that it's showing you the head wrap. So let's test it one more time. And let's say I increase now the hand weaving. Somebody comes back and maybe chooses anytime a person chooses anything, it will show. So let's go and clear everything. Let's run again. You really need to make sure you're testing everything properly, okay? Test properly, make sure everything runs correctly. So I'm going for this option again, and I'm clicking on it, okay? And then of course, log in again, okay? And now we wait. All right, now we log in. I'll try using a different user. Let's say I'm Desmond. And Desmond is, by the way, one of the users I have in my users folder. So click that login. And then OK. Then click OK here. And then, of course, click here. And then you're here. You can see the head wrap is showing. So let's say I increase, I don't know, someone comes and does garment again. So garment, that means when you come over here, you can see that it increases by 2. And when you run, the last time I'm going to run this so I can show you on the bar graph, you'll see that the bar graph also changes whenever the screen is loaded. So let's clear everything. Let's run again. And then, of course, when you come back to the VNC and then you click this option, click OK. And then you click on login so you get redirected. Okay, hope everything is fine up until here. Then, of course, you come back to the part where we are talking about, which is the last part right here. So let's wait for it. And you log yourself in. and then you log yourself in again, and then you click on login. Login, guys, not login up, by the way. So that's a problem. The text I need to change. So if you click that, click OK, then you can see that the Togu, you see how it increases. It's showing now the garment wrapping, right? So I'm just telling you that that's showing here. So again, you know, as you keep clicking, this is really what happens. Now, the idea is, how do we get from this screen? Now, when we click here, we want to be able to write information here, right? So that's what we're going to work on now. We've successfully tested this, and this works pretty well. So let's come back and focus on the last part of this. Now, there are many ways you can make your design, many ways, and I need you to be very creative about this. So you could make your design such that, you know, you have to be honest, I think I'm just gonna keep the screen the same. I think I'll keep it, but of course, I think not. Actually, no, I'll change it. So what I'll do is I'll say, come back to Gemini, go to Gemini and say, using, let's be on Gemini right now, okay, Gemini, and then we'll do something like an instruction and say, using the picture attached here as a reference, okay, I'll be like, create a Cameroonian, a beautiful, okay, viral Cameroonian themed picture for what? For the option, what's the name of the option? Let me see what the name was again. For the hand woven Togu masterclass, okay? So for the hand woven Togu masterclass option, okay? Option. In the picture here, in the picture attached here, including a picture, including a large space, sorry about that, guys, a large space, oh, sorry, where that will be blank. Oh, you can say including a picture representing the hand woven Togu masterclass on the very left side, and a large space in front of it, right? A large space in front of it where text can be written, but do not any text, okay? And also say, do not include a footer. Let's say I don't want to include a footer, by the way, or something like that. We're just trying to get an inspiration, so I'm just going to let you be creative about this. Do not include a footer section, or you know what, just do not change. Let's just keep it the way I described it here without putting that. Let's see how it's going to look first of all. So then we can like adjust it and change it. So what I'll do is I'll come back and I'll upload the picture. Remember, what you do is upload your photo, and the photo I'm uploading is this Togu one. I'm kind of getting inspiration from it. I could still use the same picture, like I said. I just want to, I'm switching over to Flash, and then don't forget standard or extended. And I'll just go send it right now. Let's see what we get. Hopefully the AI understands immediately what I want and things are looking good. So we'll see how everything is looking at the end of the day. All right, it's creating the image. And like I said, you can really just keep it simple and design it really nicely on your own and take your time, because you want to do something that's a really good result. So just take your time to do a proper job. Ooh, isn't this lovely? I like this a lot. I think it got on point exactly what I wanted. So this is pretty good. This is very good. So what we want is, I'm going to download this immediately. I really like this because here is where we can write the text about the Togu cloth styling. So I've just downloaded that. Now I just need Gemini to give me some, information about hand woven Togu masterclass. Okay, so I'll be like, give me now. Remember, I just downloaded this picture, by the way, so it's right here, and I'm gonna call it hand woven, and it has the right size, the proper size that we want. So I'm gonna call it hand woven. Okay, hand woven is the name for it. The next thing I want is I'm telling Gemini, and you can do this research. Now I'll say, give me some very short, interesting, okay, information about the Cameroonian Togu. What was it called again? The Cameroonian Togu hand woven, about the Cameroonian hand woven Togu masterclass. Hand woven Togu masterclass. Masterclass for that will be useful for people new, for people to learn about. Okay. And then that's it, pretty much that. Let's see what Gemini gives me. Just something where I can like write the text, and I'll show you how that's gonna work. We want to write the text, of course, in the file. So here's some information. Here are some interesting facts about the masterclass. Togu is a traditional royal fabric from Northwest region. The intricate geometry pieces. Okay, so I might just tell Gemini, shorten the description above, okay, to be much, yeah, I think I said shorten it. So let's see what we get. So it's giving a lot of good information. So I think what I'll do is just shorten it. And once you get your information, then you just want to come and I'll copy all this stuff. Okay, so go back to your code. Now on the side here, you do need to do two things. First, you need to drag and drop your picture that you downloaded, which is this one, right? Drag and drop it in there. And then once you've done that, you make sure it's the one, and then you give it a name. Oh, I think it failed to load because I changed the name on the, okay, so I have to drag and drop it from my computer. So just drag and drop it over here. It's called hand woven. And it's this one right here. It's the PNG one. So I'll just change it obviously to not PNG, but it's going to be GIF. Okay. And then you've got your hand woven picture right here. Now, the other one that I was saying is that you need to create a new file. Click the three dots over here, create a new file, and let's call it hand woven info.txt. It's going to be a text file. That's why it's called .txt. This is where you need to come and copy what you've gotten here and paste it into this file right here. Okay, like that. So that it can, when you're reading this onto the screen, it's going to be reading on the screen, like on this screen that we've done, the one that we've gotten here. It's going to be reading here, you know, writing it down in a very nice way. So that's pretty much it. That's just an example. Now let's get back. So once you've put that in your file, you have a file now. If you close it, it's still going to be there. It's called a hand woven info text. That's what you do for all your options. And now we come back to the code again, and we are going to put that in our code for the hand woven function, right? This one right here. So what we'll do is come here, let's zoom in, and put the code to write this in an animated way. So first of all, and again, you kind of need to know where you want to start writing this, because if you look at the hand woven image, you want to start from the very top on the right side right here and just keep writing it down all the way down, right? So that's what you want to do. So let's get back to this part. First thing we'll do is create a file name. We need to create a file name. Now remember where I am. I'm on the function called open hand woven screen, okay? So create a file name and put your name of your file, which is called the hand woven info text, because that's where you're going to be reading the information from. So hand woven info.txt. Make sure you write it exactly how you wrote it here, so don't make a mistake. Hand woven info.txt. I think that's proper. Now, the next thing you want to do is you want to put where you're going to be starting to write this on the screen. So like on what part, where are you going to start writing that, in an animated way. And so we have to do something called start X. Let's call it start X. And then, of course, let's do a start Y. We can start, like, I would prefer to start not for my X. The start X means your X coordinates and your Y coordinates. Since we don't know particularly exactly where, let's say I will start at where X is 100 and then Y needs to be way at the top. So I probably will go like for 450. Okay, so that's the starting coordinates. The next thing you want to do is to specify your screen width. How wide is your screen? So our screen is 1,376 pixels. If you don't know why I'm saying that, it's because remember that Gemini or Google Flow always downloads pictures that are 1,376 by 768 in size. So that's what I'm doing right now. So you put your screen width, then you put the maximum line limit. So what is the maximum line limit? This is very important, and I'll explain what this means. So this means that what is going to be the maximum line limit such that when it is written on here and you don't want your text to go out of your screen, what will be the maximum size, like the width, how wide? When it goes to a certain point, it will come down to the next line, come down to the next line. So for me particularly, what I'll do is I'll put it as something where it will be let's say I will say 400 or 350. Let's try that in pixels and let's see if that works well. If not, we can always adjust it. What will be the font size of your text? I think I'm going to go for 12 or 13 because this space that we have here is not such a big space, and we are trying to write down all this info. So I don't really think we're going to have that much space. You can always be creative and add another page. What I mean, and you notice one thing I forgot to tell you was, I forgot to say something. In this picture, we need to have like, let me get back to the picture. We need to have like a back button. So I think what we'll do is make this a back button, but we really need to put a back button here. So what I'll do is I'll come back. Let's go to Gemini real quick and I'll upload this picture. We need a back button. So once they click back, it will take them back to the like option screen. That will be a very nice way to do navigation. So I'll upload this picture again, this hand woven one, and I want to make a slight change and say add a cool back, a cool button called back at the very bottom, in the picture attached here. Okay, so that's something I noticed that I didn't have. Please make sure you do. I'm going to say cool Cameroonian themed again, and then let's send it over. So we just need a nice back button. So once they click back, it takes them all the way back to the options for the Togu, or at least back somewhere. So, or at least somewhere. I'm trying to think because I'm saying that, yeah, it could take them back all the way to the options. We will just do that way. The navigation would have to go in that manner. So anyways, that's what the back button does. So let's see. We're trying to create the image. Let's see how it goes. Okay, look at that. Very cool, isn't it? Very nice. It looks so cool. So that's exactly what I want. So I'm going to download it and I'm going to replace it with this one here. This picture will go and I'll use the other picture. And of course it's this one. So drag and drop it in there. And I now have the picture right here. So it's this one. It has the back button now, and I'll just call it hand woven. Okay. And then of course make it a GIF. It's very important. Okay, so now we've gotten the picture with the hand woven and it's going to have this back button. So let's go back and let's continue what we were doing. So we have this stuff over here. We've got the font size, then of course we've got the font equals, and then you open what kind of font do you want. I'm going to go for, you can look for a different type of fonts. I'll do Arial. You can do Times New Roman, Comic Sans, and the font size will obviously be the size that we set the text that's going to be writing. Here you can do bold or normal or italic. Now the next one is your line height, which means how tall, what is the spacing between each line that you're writing on the screen. So the ideal thing would be just, let's do font size, I don't know, let's do like a plus, we could do a ×2, or the font size, maybe the spacing could be like +5, because I think we don't really have much spacing. Like, you know, we have a very squishy sort of like space, and we need to write a lot of text on it. So in an animated way, we want to write all the stuff there. So like I said, you decide how you want things to go. So we don't really have that much space, so we can't really give that much spacing, right? Oh, let's get back to the image is what I'm trying to show you. So we kind of need to be smart about this. Okay, so let's get back to what we were saying. Let's go back to the VNC. Oh, to the code, my bad, not here. Let's close this one. Come back here to the code. Let's continue. Now we're going to be setting up our screen. So we'll come here and we'll start setting up. Now that we've defined all the parameters, we're going to be setting up the screen. Right? We'll start by doing screen equals to turtle.turtle. Turtle.screen, sorry, is what we did at the very beginning, if you remember. And then screen.bgpic, we have a background picture, not a background color. And the bgpic is the handwoven.gif picture. So handwoven .gif, okay? Handwoven.gif. And then, of course, the last thing we'll do is to put in the screen.setup. And it's going to be the screen size and the screen like height. So I'll just do the size is the 1376, the same thing that we always do. And then you can put a screen title and the title of your screen.title. This is also a nice thing. And it's basically the handwoven, Togu handwoven information, something like that. Oops, let's do Togu properly. Okay. Now we need the turtle, we need a pen. So what we're going to do is we are inserting a turtle pen. Okay. Inserting a turtle pen to write the text from the hand woven, okay, info text file, right? So because we created that text file right there, as you can see. We need to write all that information from here onto the screen. So we can create another pen. I'll call this one pen 2. You can call it anything you want, equals to turtle.turtle. Okay. And then, of course, we are going to hide our pen. We don't want to show it. We are going to tell the computer to raise the pen up. This is important when you create a turtle pen object. This is just how you have to write it. Now, you can decide what color you want your text to be, the text that's going to be written. So I'm going to do pen2.color. For now, I think I'll go with a black color because that's like an ideal color. So black goes really well. And then you have to say, where do you want your pen to go to start writing? So we'll go to where we put before. Remember, we have our start X and start Y. So we're going to do that. We're going to put start X. This is where it should start writing from. And then we're going to go start Y. Okay, so we're basically telling it to start from where we put here. Now, the next thing we want to do after this, we've set up all that, is to do the animation part, right? So this is where we come to write the part, write text in an animated way, okay? And so the way we're going to do this is we're going to start off by creating a function. You can call this function whatever, so I'll just call it def animated, write, open brackets, and then we need to put the text to write, right? Or the text to print, whatever, the one that we're actually going to be writing. Then in here, we're going to start off by using a for loop. Okay, for car in text to write. So that means we want to go through all the information. When we say a for loop, what it does is that goes through every single thing in here and gets it written on the screen. So we need a for loop to do this. And then we're going to come down and use our pen, this pen that we created, pen2.write. And we're going to be writing the characters that we're, like the words that we're reading. And we're going to put this movement so that it looks animated. We're going to make it true. And the font is going to be equal to what? What is our font? Equal to font. Font is font. Maybe we should call it font 1. Let's make it a little bit different. I'm talking about this one. So font is going to be equal to font 1. Okay? Then we need to put like a natural timing between each writing. Like whenever it writes something, we put a natural timing. If you have an error with time.sleep, that's because you didn't have the time.sleep. You've got to go and import it at the top of your code. So go to the top of your code and import time. Okay, so that's probably why you're having this error. So just import time and the error goes. Now, after that, we've got to come here and we've got to do a try block. So we need to do a try right here because now we're going to be opening the file. And then we're going to say with open, okay, the file name, and we're talking about the file name that we created here, the file that we're trying to read from, and we're opening it as a file, and then put colon, hit enter. And we're going to do something like create a variable where we're going to like read from the file, read the line. So full text equal to file.read. That's that. Really easy peasy. And then come here and put, we're reading the words and we want to make sure that the words are split. That means like for between every word, there's like spacing, isn't it? So we're going to say words equals to full text dot split. Okay, so this line, what it does is that it basically splits the text into words because we have like a whole text that you're reading from the file, which means all this information. So it needs to split these words by words, okay, word by word. That's what we're doing. And then afterwards, we're going to come down to the next line and we're going to give spacing between each word that we're splitting. And then we're going to do for words in Word, we need to go through the words again. And we're going to start putting it on the screen. So this is where we'll say estimating the character width of each word. So we'll say estimated, okay, width of each word, the word that we're writing on the screen. And then we're just going to do this calculation here. Well, we'll say the length of the current line, like whatever line we are on with space and the word, times the font size, times 0.6. So it's the estimated length of the line that we're writing the word in. And then we're going to have an if statement. And then we're saying if this estimated line, remember we did put like a maximum, we need to know the line, how long the word is, because we can't pass this maximum line limit, okay, that we put in here. Actually, I'll change it to 450 now that I see it. So we need to make sure that this estimated width line, the width of the line that we're writing the words from the text file is not more than the estimated maximum line. So we're going to say estimated width should be less than the maximum line. And so the maximum, which we call maximum line width. And then in the next line, we're going to say current line. This is like if it is less than, then we can keep writing. If it is more than, then we have to stop and go to the next line. That's kind of what we're trying to make the computer do. So like this, and then give a space, okay? So we say plus equal, then we'll say there's one more thing missing here. Word plus spacing, okay? Word plus spacing. Let's do that again. Let's do that again. So we'll do word plus spacing like that. And then else, if it is greater than the maximum line limit, then we have to take it to the next line. Okay, so this is where we, it means that the line length limit is reached. And so it needs to go to the next line to write again, to write the next text. Okay, so you come down here and so you go animated again, right current line, animated right, because that's what we called the function right here. So animated right, and then in here we'll say current line, and then come down and start the line again on start Y. So it starts on the Y coordinate. So start Y equals, no, it goes like, this is the part where we come down. So it has to be minus because you're going down, minus whatever the Y coordinate is at right now, because it comes down from wherever the Y is to the next Y. So it moves to the next line. And then, of course, the writer will go and start X and Y. So it starts at the same position where it started to write the next line, okay? That's really what's happening. And then finally, we come down to the same thing again. We repeat the same process, current line equals to word with spacing. And then the next thing we want to do now is to have an if statement which prints out the remaining lines. So we're going to put that statement right here. This is what you have to have. If current line, then you're basically, if there's still more text that you need to write from the text file, then it's going to call this function until there's no longer any text. Now, the last thing you want to do is you want to put an exception. So make sure you have this except file not found, because whenever you're dealing with text files, this TXT files or even JSON files, you notice we always have the try and an except. That means you're telling the computer, try to run this code and catch any errors if there's any errors whatsoever. So that's why you have to have an exception. And then here, hit enter and write down if there is an error, then it means that maybe the file wasn't found. It tried to open this file, but it didn't find it. This could be what the exception could be. Okay. And then the last thing you want to do is to start your function. So here you will go screen.mainLoop. Okay. That means like to keep your screen open. So the screen.mainLoop is what you will do here. Okay, so let's see. After that, I think that's pretty much all. So now we need to test it and see how everything works to know if all is good and working well. And then if it is, then I think that's a wrap. Of course, we didn't do the clicking function yet. So the clicking, I'll show you again. You need a clicking function so that you can make such that once they click back, it takes them back to the other screen. So let's finish this one off first. Let's go and try reading and seeing if everything works. Let's zoom out. And then you can adjust like I said. So click on run. And remember, one thing is that we're trying this for the hand-woven option. Okay, there's still the other ones that you have to do, which are the remaining 3 options on that screen. So we'll click here. We'll click OK as per usual. Then we'll click login, right? And then just give me a moment. We'll click on, you will be redirected to the login screen shortly. I have to click OK so we can proceed. I'll click OK. And then we have to wait. Right, let's wait a little bit. All right, log in now. So you're a user, you're coming in, you're logging into your MBOA application. All right, so then click login. Okay, you've logged in successfully. You're now in the home screen. Click this page. Remember the graph still showing you what you have. Now click here. Okay. And okay, so the text isn't writing on the screen. We've got to check that. And also because the text isn't covering the whole screen size here. So we have to check that as well. So we probably don't need the screen dot width and length. So that's one thing. So there's 2 things we have to check to see what's going on. Okay, so let's go back and let's check what's happening, why this isn't writing. So we're going to have a look here.